Okay, I'm downtown Boston. Well, I'm at Boston Street at 500 Boston Street at the Boston Shops. I just got off the bus from Roxbury. I was at the Roxbury Library. What happened is my swimming techniques are so great that the white guys at the YMCA in Roxbury, they make it very difficult for me to get into the pool. They lock the doors. Really. It's either they are locking the doors at the YMCA's or they're kicking me out the libraries around here for some reason. I don't know why, but I think it has something to do with race. So I think in this installation, what I'll basically do is talk about the racial issue. We have to take into consideration a lot of things when we talk about the racial issue. Of course, as I indicated when I began my YouTube station, my very first commitment is to Almighty God. And everything goes from there. So let's keep him in mind as I talk to in this lecture. I think I'll spend a little time talking about white people. My phone was interrupted, so I'll say it again. I'll make this lecture about the white community and the white people. Well, 400 years ago, their ancestors kicked my ancestors' ass and made them slaves for 400 years. And if this is the case, then it was an act of God. As I indicated in a previous broadcast, 400 years in slavery is indicative of something. It's indicative of some kind of behavior that called for that to happen. But now the 400 years is coming to an end. And what is happening in the white community is more about passions. It's more about feelings. And I think rationale has escaped the minds of the rulers of the world. I stand in limbo. I stand in limbo because I always try to understand the humanity. And when I try to put myself in white people's places, why in some cases they treat black people so badly in general, but not exclusively, not all the time, but in general. It's been a habit or a tradition that they some type of way mistreat a person who has black skins. That's a lecture of another day, which I'll talk about another day. But what is happening in the white community is that they have failed to see their failure. It has nothing to do with white people specifically. It has more to do with nature, explicitly. Nature. The way things are, how things are governed, things that we can't control because we are all part of nature, and nature is in control of everything. So I sit here, 2022, August, 2022 in Boston, Massachusetts. I sit here thinking about the end of the white world as we know it. It has nothing to do specifically with any particular human being. It just all has something to do with how nature governs things. And at this point in time, with my objectivity and my going into situations, looking at it from a human standpoint, but at the same time, despite my humanity in trying to understand things, because of the color of my skin, my humanity seems to be overlooked in some cases, whether I'm in Boston, or whether I'm in Las Vegas, or whether I'm in Los Angeles, many places that I've been. There is a serious problem here in America. And that problem has something to do with race. And unless and until that issue is resolved, the future looks quite dim for my homeland. Yes, this is my homeland. I'm an American. But the thing that makes it a mess is that I am a Black American. I am an African American. And I can understand for 400 years in a culture, you're taught, you teach your children, and generation after generation, you maintain that just because your skin is white, that makes you more of a human than a man whose skin is black. It's a travesty. It's quite interesting how things work out. The origins of man is in Black Africa. And only Black Africans or Black people can produce